Hello, welcome today, 4th of February today. Sorry, it looks like my camera's a little bit shaky, so apologies for that. I'll try and stop it shaking. Don't know why it's doing that. There we go. February the 4th today. Jimmy, I don't know what day of the week that was. I'm not interested to know whether it was a Saturday or Sunday or Monday, but he was saying scientists, yet more scientists, are discovering that birds apparently can keep one eye open and can actually sort of keep asleep. So he was musing on the fact that these birds are very clever, whereas humans can have both eyes awake and often are asleep. And so not quite sure what point he was making, but hopefully Jimmy was saying that perhaps we all need to be a bit more alert when we're sort of there, be present, I think they call it. Sometimes people's body is there, but their mind is elsewhere. Good to have both things in the same place at the same time, perhaps. He said local paper, and Jimmy was a great local paper man, so I'm sure he bought the local paper. I think it was at the start of the Evening Post in Chatham when it started in the late 60s. I think it was late 60s. The Evening Post in Chatham changed from a twice weekly, I think, to a nightly paper. That was quite a shock for people. Anyway, I digress. So the local paper was saying about mobile phones and kids, and kids were having phones in schools and or pagers. So Jimmy was saying, perhaps they've got pagers so that they get a tip from the local bookie, the 2:30 at Cheltenham, or a note from their holiday firm saying their flight was going to start at 7:30 in the morning. The point was, who's phoning who? Now, fast forward 26 years, and I don't need to tell you that mobile phones, social media have absolutely become a bit of a thing. Some people think it's the next best thing since sliced bread. Other think it's sort of part of the devil's plan, really. And I'm a little bit in between. I think mobile phones can be really helpful. Social media clearly is something that some youngsters get completely hooked up in and just don't seem to have the ability to say no. It's excuse me. It's almost akin to an addiction, isn't it? And if it's drugs, that's bad enough, but social media and the effects of it can be equally destructive. And it appears that some kids cannot literally say no to turning off a phone or get absolutely distraught if the Wi-Fi is not working. And Jimmy was foreseeing that 26 years ago. I'm not sure it was that clever in that sense, because it was fairly obvious that it was going to be a trend, but he was very worried. And said it was going to be on the list of I wants for 4-year-olds. Well, I'm sad to say, I think that may be true. That probably in today's world, tablets and phones are probably the must-have thing for very young kids, right up to older folks. But I still meet the occasional, I've got to be careful when I say old, haven't I? Older folks who really don't like mobile phones that much and steer real clear of technology. So thumbs up to them. Deborah Hayes of Grimsby came up. Oh, was it Grimsby? Yes. Deborah Graves. I'm not sure what this is about, so I do due deference to Deborah, but she sadly was caused a crash up in Grimsby area. 70-year-old died sadly, and she was holding a mobile phone and phoning while holding the wheel. And now, of course, clearly a very punishable offence, but too late if you actually hurt someone. So sorry, Deborah, if you're still about. Apologies, and I'm sure it still haunts you, but you've probably paid your dues by now, I guess. But now mobile phones and hands-free use all a little bit outlawed and frowned upon by many people. However, you still do see people who flout that and do so at great risk to others, don't they? So that was another thing that was, a side product of mobile phones really being used. Last night he said, Dad said, I'm in a cynical mood today. Must be because spring is in the air. Not quite sure why that connection. Finally, he said, didn't win the lottery again. But if we had won 1 million, I wonder how many loaves we could have bought that Tesco's, Asda and QuickSave have now reduced the cost of a loaf of bread. Wait for it. 9p a loaf. Wow. I think you can still probably get a loaf in some bakeries, Tesco's nearby, maybe for under £1, but then it was 9p a loaf. So times change, eh? Anyway, that was Jimmy's view on today, which was the 4th of February. Thanks for joining me. Do like, click, subscribe, comment, whichever you feel you want to do, or none of those things, that's fine. Thanks for watching, and my dear, bye.